Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and today I'm going to get rid of some books, which is not something I normally say. So for today's video, like I said, I'm going to get rid of some books, which is known as a book unhaul. If you don't know what that is, it's literally just like the opposite of a haul, where instead of showing things you got, you're showing things that you're getting rid of. I think I have like 25 or 26 books here to show you. Some of them I've read, some of them I've just lost interest in reading, and we're going to talk through why I'm getting rid of them, etc. If you loved some of these books, this is not any hate to you. It doesn't mean anything. It's not personal. I have a lot of books and it's a little overwhelming at times to look at my shelves and see things that sometimes I just don't want to read anymore, and I kind of feel a little bit guilty. So I'm gonna pass them on to a new home. I haven't decided if I'm gonna open up like a depop or anything to sell them. Let me know if that's something that you guys would be interested in. But yeah, if you loved any of these books, it's nothing personal, seriously. I don't want to read them, or I've read them and I feel meh about them, and so I would rather curate my book collection to be something that I look back on and all of the books are something that I've loved or I'm keeping for a sentimental reason, rather than, yeah, I read it, I don't care about it. No hate, please. Let's keep this nice. I do this about once a year. That's not planned, that's just typically how it works out for me. So let's dive into all of the books that I am rehoming. Most of these are in the same genre, and that's a YA contemporary, and that is because I found that I am kind of outgrowing the typical YA contemporary that's like 200 to 300 pages, because I'm not a teenager anymore. I mean, I'm still pretty young. I am only 20, and so like I'm relatively close to being a teenager, but I don't really relate to any of these things anymore. I'm not in high school anymore. I haven't been for a while now, and these just aren't things that excite me, and I know that so many other people might enjoy them. So the first one that I have is Top 10 by Katie Cotugno. I read this my senior year of high school after reading 99 Days, which I really enjoyed. I know it's really controversial and most people don't like it, and that's totally fine. I just had a great reading experience with it. But yeah, I'm gonna be giving this one away because I read it, I felt about it, and the only reason that I would be keeping it is because it has a really cool cover, and that's not really, like, this cover is cool, but it's nothing that I want to stare at every day, and so I'm just gonna give it away. The next two are middle grades actually, and I'm getting rid of them because I don't plan on rereading them. They're not bad books. I did read them and I enjoyed them when I read them. I feel like someone else could fall in love with reading using these graphic novels, and I would much rather have that than just have them collect dust on my shelf. And that is Smile as well as Ghosts by Rena Telgemeier. Cute young or like middle grade graphic novels. I'm not going to reread them, and someone that I babysat like actually really enjoyed them, and it was one of the first books that she ever enjoyed, and I couldn't in good faith keep these on my shelves knowing that they're not doing anything for me, but they could potentially do something for somebody else. Then we have Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. I know that there's a movie about this. The funniest book you'll ever read about death. But I honestly keep forgetting that I even own it, and so I'm just going to part with it because I don't think I'll ever end up reading it. Then we have The Lady of the Rivers by Philippa Gregory. I wanted to get more into historical fiction, and so I picked this up and forgot that I even owned it. I do want to get into historical fiction, but I don't think this is the place to start. It's the first book in a series, so maybe I'll pass it on to one of my old English teachers who has a little bit more interest in this than I would. Then we have 3 books that my grandma actually gave to me, and she was just going to get rid of them, so I said that I would take them, but I don't really have any real interest in them, and that is Year 1 of Blood and Bone, as well as The Rise of Magics. This is a trilogy. It is a complete trilogy, Chronicles of the One. Like I said, I have no real interest in reading this. I didn't spend any money on it, and my grandma was just going to give them away as well, so I don't really feel bad about rehoming these books to someone who might really like them. Then we have a bunch of like mystery thriller books. So the first one is The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. This I know is a really beloved series and was really popular at one point in time, and I got it after all of the hype, I think around the time that the Noah Shaw series was being published. But if I'm being honest with myself, I have no real interest in reading this. If I do end up wanting to read it, like, I could pick up the audiobook. That's how I prefer to read thrillers anyway. So, but yeah, I don't foresee this being anything amazing. And from what I've heard, the series only goes downhill after this. So do I really want to invest my time in something that's going to be a letdown? Then we have Don't Look Back by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I'm sad to be getting rid of because this was a book that I wanted to read for such a long time, and then I finally read it and I was honestly really disappointed. I found it super underwhelming. I'm never going to reread this. I don't feel anything by owning it, but I know that a lot of people really do enjoy it, and so someone who is maybe just getting into the thriller genre, like young adult mystery thrillers, might really love this, or just reading in general again, and I don't want it, so I would rather they have it. Then we have The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. I know that there's a lot of controversy around this book and this author. This was another one that my grandma gave me, and there was a lot of hype around it, and then everything else happened, and so I genuinely don't really have any interest in this anyway, and there's no real reason for me to keep it. So we have one more adult thriller book, and that is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which I've heard pretty mixed reviews. This by Stuart Turton. I've heard pretty mixed reviews about this one, but honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to read it. If I do, again, it'll be audiobook, so I have no reason to keep the physical copy because this doesn't really do anything for me. Yeah, I'm probably just not ever going to read it, and there might be someone who really loves it, but that person's not me. A Danger to Herself and Others by Alyssa Schienmel. Again, I read this one last year. I thought that this cover was really cool, and I still think that this cover is really cool. It sits like this on my shelves, and so I don't even ever see the cover anyway. I read this, it was like a 2.53 out of 5 stars, so I have no emotional attachment to it. Again, found it super underwhelming, and I would just rather not have it on my shelf because I am acquiring more thrillers that I am way more excited about and think that I will enjoy so much more. And so I'd rather have room on my thriller shelf for those instead of, I don't want to say wasting space because that sounds really mean, but then we have a classic, and that is Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales, obviously by the Brothers Grimm. I'm never going to read this. It's pretty, but it's again just taking up space, and I do want to read some classics, but this just isn't one of them. So I'm going to say goodbye to it, and someone who likes collecting books might really love this, or if they love fairy tales, again, they might love having this, but it doesn't do anything for me. Now we're getting into the young adult contemporary section, for real. First, we have How to Love by Katie Katugano. It's a young adult contemporary about this girl who got pregnant as a teenager. That's really all I know about it. I don't plan on reading this. I thought that maybe at one point I would, and that's why I got it. But then we have Tell Me Three Things by Julie Bobum. I read this because I saw someone who I really liked at the time love this book, and I convinced myself that I liked it more than I did, but in reality I really didn't care much about this. It was a struggle for me to get through. I think it's like a 2.53 out of 5 stars again. It's not a bad book, it's just not the one for me, and I again forget that I own it, so I'm not going to keep this. Then we have a book that I bought on a whim and I don't think I will probably ever read, and that is The Last Wish of Sasha Cade by Cheyenne Young. It's about this girl whose best friend has recently died of cancer, and then she gets a note from her best friend, and there are instructions on like how to continue without her. Don't think I'm ever going to read this. Maybe somebody else will like it more than me. Now we're into the portion of books that I have read but will never read again, and I don't feel any attachment towards. We have Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. I read this while I was in high school. Doesn't do anything for me anymore. The Me I Meant to Be by Sophie Jordan. It was okay. Again, I honestly forget that I have it very frequently. American Panda by Gloria Chow. This was really cute, but I'm never going to reread it again, and it wasn't for me. It was a 3 stars. It wasn't a bad book by any means, but I don't feel anything towards it, and I'm not going to reread it. Really cute cover though. Sorry, my dog's getting a drink of water. And then we have The Shortest Distance Between Love and Hate by Sandy Hall. Honestly, did not like this book, like actively disliked it. Pretty sure it was like a 2 stars, maybe even lower than that. The cover's cute and I wanted to read more by Sandy Hall, but just not for me. And then we have YA contemporary that I have lost interest in. So the first one is Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca. It's a Shakespeare retelling. I'm not sure which one. I don't think this one's a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but I don't remember, to be honest. I read To Be Honest by these authors and did not like it at all. So I don't really want to read anything else by them, and I might get rid of that one too, but I haven't decided yet. The next one is Fake It Till You Break It by Jen P. Yen, I think. I don't know how you pronounce her last name, and I'm so sorry. I honestly got this one because I liked the cover, and it was a short contemporary, so I figured I would be able to read it quickly. And I got it with the sole intention of wanting to read something quickly and like finish a book on my Goodreads goal, but I got like 50 pages in and I don't care. The writing wasn't something that I particularly loved. It wasn't anything crazy to me. Then we have one that I have tried for years to finish and probably just never will, and that is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I honestly have kept this for so long because I'm obsessed with the cover, but I'm never going to finish it. Not interested. Not for me. Then we have one that I recently tried to read and couldn't get very far through because I hated both of the characters so much, and that is Every Other Weekend by Abigail Johnston. This is about these 2 teenagers who stay at their parents' apartments every other weekend, and they like their schedules line up because both their parents are separated, and they start like having a romance, and they don't like being at that apartment complex because like they just don't want to be with their parents. Their home lives aren't great. I'm pretty sure that's how this works anyway. I tried to put it out of my mind as quickly as possible. I really enjoyed the cover. I thought that I would really enjoy this, but I just don't think it's for me. And then lastly, we have My True Love Gave to Me, edited by Stephanie Perkins. This is a holiday story anthology. I don't really read anthologies. They're not for me. I don't like that format, and I don't tend to read like holiday themed stories. It's very rare, and it's not to say that I won't, but the fact that this is a holiday themed collection on top of the fact that it's an anthology, I just don't ever foresee myself reading this. Those are the 25, 26-ish books that I'm going to be getting rid of. Like I said, most of them were young adult contemporary, and I think that's because I don't hate that genre. It's just that when I read that genre, I want them to be a little bit more hard-hitting and have a little bit more substance than romance. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with romance either. It's just not something that I connect to anymore, and I want to be more purposeful about the books that I'm buying as well as the books that I own, and so they have to go. And I really hope that other people enjoy them. That's why I'm getting rid of them. I hope that there are no hard feelings with this video. That's genuinely not my intention, but it does feel good to clear off some shelf space and make room for some new books that I could potentially really fall in love with. So I hope that none of you hate me. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you're doing well reading mentally and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video. Bye guys.